Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Mike Green, and today we're going to be talking about stain. But before I do that, I want to explain to you how we got to this point. We've done a lot of boats over the years and had a lot of boats that other people have done that come into the shop. And so one of the things that we see is the prep work, whether it's done correctly or not. You know, you can get cross grain scratches in the wood by using orbital sanders. We do use orbital sanders, but then what we do is we go back and we make sure we hit it with 80 grit with a flat board and then 100 grit with a flat board. Chris Craft stopped sanding before they stain somewhere between 80 and 100. That is not 100% confirmed. Some people say 80, some people say 100. We do it to 100. And then also your fairing, you know, before you do that, if you're building a new boat and you're putting new planking on, it's really important to make sure that the fairing is done properly. So the boat's all faired at this point, the boat that we're working on, and then it's also hand sanded with 80 grit and then 100 grit to make sure that there's no cross grain scratches. So here we go. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned till the end. There's a little special segment at the end that you guys might enjoy. Thanks for tuning in. So hey everybody, we're here working on a 1929 26-foot Chris Craft custom runabout, and today is stain day. And what we're going to do is talk about how we got to this point. So we basically built the boat, and this boat was crushed in the building, and you might have saw it in a previous video. It was crushed in the building, and so we repaired all the woodwork on it, and now I'll talk to you about how we prepped out just for the stain. So what we did is we sanded and faired the hull first using 80 grit and then a flat board to get everything nice and contour smooth, how we want it shaped. And then we went back with 100 grit and we hand sanded with the grain with 100 grit. And then we filled these seams. You can see that there was a little bit of seam work here that was just opened a little bit, and filled those up with what was called, it's just wood filler, like a foamo wood, which is, it accepts stains, so that's why we use it. Once we put the stain on here, you won't see these lines. Also, any other imperfections, like right here, the hole was a little bit big for the plug, and so what we did is we filled that with the foamo wood as well. So that'll also be hidden by the stain. And then when we were building the boat, we book matched everything. Like this plank right here and the side plank over there are the exact same plank. What we did is we took a 6/4 piece of lumber and then we split it down the middle, and then we used one on one side and one on the other side. And then on this back piece that's going side to side, we also book matched. And you can see the grain right here, how this is exactly the same and this is exactly the same. So these are two book matched pieces that were actually together. That is the way Chris Craft did it. Chris Craft built this boat basically with book match lumber. Every side plank on one side is exactly like the other side. So I'm showing you this area right here just because it's one of the hardest areas to get because there's so many corners. And you're really gonna have to get in there with a paintbrush, a little artist brush. So I did that, and now what I'm doing is just making sure I wipe really evenly and making sure that that stain isn't built up in any areas and it's just all nice and smooth. So I've already stained it with the application rag. Now I'm coming back and I'm making sure that I rub that excess stain off and not pushing too hard, just a nice even strokes and even pressure. You can see in that corner too where there's some white. We're gonna have to get the artist brush in there too. Just nice and even strokes. What you don't want to do is rub it too much either, because you'll take too much of it off. Nice and long strokes on something area like this. Also, if you were to move to a side, it'll actually create side marks, you know, and they'll look like cross grain scratches. So you want to make sure that you go with the grain. Very important. Dab a little bit more stain on there, rub it around, even it out, you know, just don't put a blotch on there. I kind of try to space it out, get in those corners really good. Doing a circular motion, the key is to really push it into the grain so there's no voids in the grain. And then you just want to make sure you get a good, nice, even application. And I go back and forth with the grain with it. I put it on first with a circular motion, and then what I'll do is I'll come back with the grain and get that nice and evened out. You might have some buildup in some areas, like there's going to be some in that corner. I know it, so I'll go back. I'll try to rub some of it off, trying to make it even. Nice even strokes. And then I'll come back with an artist brush. You can see it built up in the corner right there. You just want to kind of get that, even that out. And then come back with your towel and clean that up. Get that nice and evened out. All right, so we got this corner too. We got a little bit of filler right inside of there because there was a bit of a gap, but you can see that that's just gonna go away. So this boat is made with genuine mahogany or Honduras mahogany, and that's in 1929, 30, 31 when these boats were built. That is what they used in the larger boats. Just in the 26, 28 footer and the 30 footer, they used Honduras. Most of the other boats were all Philippine. So this is an original dash right here, and we're going to try to blend it in. It's a little bit dark, but we're going to try to blend it in with the new wood. So just rub that on in a circular motion, making sure you get all the stain inside the grain. This wood coat you can get in a couple different ways. You can order this wood coat gel stain off the internet for pre-war boats. But for post-war boats, it's a different blend, and you have to order that through Mike Mayer at Lake Oswego Boat Company. So just rubbing that on, making sure you get that in the grain and all the nooks and crannies up underneath the dash. And then we're just going to wipe that nice and even, making sure we get our edges good. The corner's really good. The owner wanted to keep the original dash, and so you might see some of these black marks, but you know, those are just age, and we call them beauty marks, so it's not going to look bad. Most of it will be hidden from the clump switch. So when you're putting on the next portion of stain, you want to make sure that you overlap a little bit. Come into your stain that you wiped before. And then after I get this all stained, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this whole thing as one. Alright, so I'm just going to start wiping it. Get my corners good. Alright, I'm just going to give it one nice back and forth. And there you go. So we taped some of the stuff off because we're going to paint up in here. You could just stain over it, but I like to have a nice crisp edge, and all the inside the engine compartment will get painted. This back piece will get painted, and so we just like to tape it off. You also want to use a stain-filled rag, and the reason you want to do that is because if I kept turning this rag and used it a new rag every single time I wiped, there'd be less stain on the boat. And so you use that old rag just to give you a nice consistency. So there we go, a little bit of how-to on staining, and I hope that was helpful for you, and I hope your boat comes out awesome. You just really, it's in the prep work, so make sure you do that, and I'm sure it'll be beautiful. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and also hit that bell if you want to be notified. Also, we're going to be coming up with another one of the Runabout review episodes, so stay tuned for that. We'll see you right back here. Thanks. Bye.